This is the Classic Army M249.
Minimi.
You're a fucking idiot.
A lesser seen M249 variant that, like a classic Impala that hasn't been transformed into a lowrider already, still gathers appreciation for being untouched by today's high demand for customization. The high demand for M-Lock and Keymod everything. No, you won't get anything more than a top rail for the sights you barely use, but if you're already looking away from what this Minimi is, then maybe dated classic guns aren't your style. I received this M249 a few weeks ago when I made a huge unboxing video, and ever since Airsoft GI sent it to me, I've been dreading having to return it, and honestly, I just might not. Of course, Airsoft GI is sponsoring this review, which is where you can get one of these squad weapons for yourself for about $290, which seems very reasonable for an LMG like this. Getting into where we always begin, we'll start off with the unboxing. So here's what you should be greeted with when you order yourself a Classic Army M249. This tall box may have some nice Classic Army designs on top, but after you remove the lid, you'll see that everything is held together by this styrofoam. It's not that dense foam though, so expect a few pieces of the packaging to get all over you, the gun, and the area around you. Inside the styrofoam coffin you'll receive a black bag, or the Classic Army trash bag as I call it, that can actually fit the entire gun in for whenever you need to transport your M249 from place to place. I love that these bags are included in the box, and they make for good dust protectors for whenever I have to store a gun for an extended period of time. Next is the paperwork that's wrapped in a plastic Ziploc bag. Inside, a manual can be read that covers how to disassemble the M249, how to connect your batteries, how to use the controls, and you'll get an explosive view of the gun at the end of the booklet. And I can't forget to mention the little cartoon sheet about how to charge your battery correctly. After that, you'll get a normal metal Classic Army trademarked M4 high cap instead of a box magazine like this one, and you'll get a cleaning / unjamming rod. From here you can pull the Minimi out from the box and clean it off of all the damned styrofoam bits. With the unboxing over and done with, we can really feel the weight of this gun. It's much better than I thought with the skeleton stock and the absence of the top heat shield over the barrel at about 12 pounds without a magazine. The whole gun is made from metal besides the handguard, the hollow pistol grip, and the plastic carry handle grip, and overall the body feels really good as well as looking really good.
You look pretty good.
Starting at the barrel's end, we get this US regulated orange tip on the M249 Minimi flash hider with 14mm counterclockwise threads underneath. Funny enough, this barrel segment can actually be screwed away from the rest of the barrel to reveal more 14mm counterclockwise threads. I say counterclockwise despite hearing that these threads have been clockwise in the past, however I can screw on any of my muzzle devices without much issue after removing the mock gas regulator. This is another piece that can come off easily when you want it to. Just push this pin out and the gas block and front sight will slide away. Classic Army put some nice attention to detail with the gas block, even allowing the adjustment knob to move like the real thing. On top, the front sight sits. This sight is only adjustable for elevation, however I noticed while writing my script for this review that my front sight is slightly flawed. You see how it's tilted on the face? I know every gun is made slightly different, but I thought I'd just point out this pretty meaningless flaw out. Next, I'm going to remove the whole barrel assembly to show off the rest of the front portion of this gun. This can be done by pushing this lever towards the rear of the gun, which will allow the outer barrel to pop forward under spring tension. From here you can pull both the outer and inner barrel and hop up away from the rest of the replica. This can be really useful for a variety of things, but for a new owner this is how you get to your small type battery connections and how you can adjust your rotary style hop up. As you can see, you have a lot of room in here, so you can experiment with whatever battery you have available to you. The handguard I pointed out earlier is made from plastic, but is pretty well formed and actually quite comfortable for being on an M249. It's textured nicely, and the metal vehicle mount just under it will really help out when you want to mount it on a proper mount. Lastly, up front we have the stamped steel bipod that can swivel from side to side, folded up into the handguard, or folded up front or at an angle. It can also be lengthened to have the replica stand taller at the front. The bipod does what it's supposed to do the way I wanted it to, and I had no real problems whenever I had this gun in my possession, so as the entirety of the front assembly goes, I give this gun a thumbs up so far. At the tubular skeleton stock now, before going over the receivers of this gun, as you can see there's not much going on over here. The stock doesn't fold, nor does it adjust for length. The way you see it is the way you get it, but you do get this metal wire shoulder rest for whatever that's worth. It's nowhere near as solid as the shoulder rest that you find on most M14s out there, as this one wobbles a lot, but it's there for whenever you want to use it, just like how the sling loop is on top of the stock. Connecting this stock to the receiver are these two push pins that are held in place by these wire springs. You can push these out for whenever you'd like to get to your quick change spring system inside, or if you like to just change out the stock. But let me warn you now that I'd recommend that you keep these wire springs pointed up or just away from your bare hands when messing with this saw. I know I have baby hands, so maybe this won't affect you, but cutting yourself on the springs still sucks. Alright, moving on. Down below we have the trigger assembly and pistol grip. The grip is hollow as the motor is not inside of it but inside of the body, so you can put whatever you like to in here or just keep it empty. The safety for this weapon, however, can be found above this grip, left for full auto fire and right for safe. There is no semi on this gun, like the real thing, so keep this in mind if you need semi-only guns at your field or arena. In front of the large trigger and trigger guard, you'd find this bracket for the box magazine. You may not get a box mag immediately, but if you do pick up a Classic Army 2400 round mag, then this is where it would hook onto the gun. The box magazine does require a 9-volt battery to power the motor inside of the magazine, but if you can find one of those, then you'll only need to fill the box with BBs, attach a hose to the magazine nozzle, and insert this portion into the mag well. Now you can use a box magazine no problem, but another warning I have for you is that a lot of these box magazines can be a bit stiff when getting them back out. I hear that a lot of 249 owners just shave down the lips and releases of these magazines to get them to slip out much easier, and I've even seen a saw gunner purposely break the lips of his box mag so it could reload at a milsim event, so be warned if you plan on running one of these magazines. Of course, you can just use a standard M4 magazine with the saw, which is great for whenever you need this type of weapon for squad-minded games and operations, so that's another plus for this design. I did find, however, that the loose BBs that don't get fed into the gun can easily find themselves in the body. This is kind of annoying, but I see this with a lot of other M249s as well. That doesn't make it okay, but I guess that's a flaw with the spaces between the magwell, the body of the gun, and the space between the gearbox. Most of the time these BBs can be easily taken out though, unless you're alright with BBs rattling back and forth inside of your M249. Moving along with the feed tray cover, we can see that the rear side is large and can be adjusted for both windage and elevation. But if you're not liking the iron sights, then you could just use the Picatinny rail in front of the rear sight for whatever aftermarket sights you have. On the right side of the cover, we have this metal skirt that the charging arm passes through, and on the left side we have the actual feed tray that swings up into the cover. The charging arm, by the way, serves no purpose, but it can get in the way of closing this cover, so be sure to move the charging arm back slightly before pushing the cover back down. It does also help to push on both of these tabs while holding the skirt up to easily close the cover with little force. I mean, you could always just slam it down all manly like, but that's not always the best way to make sure your guns last without any damage to the bodies. With the barrel assembly back in place now, you'd find the hop-up adjuster with the feed cover open. It's a large rotary hop-up that you can adjust through this gap or by just pulling the barrel out again and doing it that way. Just be sure to put the inner barrel and hop-up back in the right place by having this notch facing upward. You'll hear a slight click whenever you push everything back into place properly. Oh, and yes, the carry handle is quite sturdy. I don't have a fear when carrying the M249 by this handle, so I'll give it a pass even if it can't move from the angle it's at. It's just another one of those the way it is the way it is kind of things. As for range, this Classic Army is running awesome with 0.28 gram Classic Army BBs. 150 feet with a dialed in hop-up was no problem at all to pull off, and I feel safe to say that 200 feet would be doable, but I don't have the range to show that off. At the chronograph, I was getting low 300s with 0.28 gram BBs. I ran out of 0.2s and I need to restock, so we'll just go off on the Joule reading this time. I'm actually a bit surprised at how well this gun rips with an 11.1 LiPo connected. 20 rounds a second is pretty good for a stock gun, and at least with a good mid-cap magazine, you should be able to maintain that stream of BBs. There are a few issues I have with this gun, and I'd like to think that the M249 by Classic Army could be made better. The trigger assembly wobbles from side to side, the top rail robs you of some of your vision down the iron sights, the gaps between the gearbox and the body where BBs can get stuck annoys me, but this gun is made for one job. Lay down a lot of fire and help get your team to the next position. And I can say it would do that job quite well from what I've seen and tested here today. And even if you have to take down enemies by yourself, the range of this gun will help you. I love the look of this piece. Battery storage is great, the performance is good, and the advantage that can be had with one of these and a couple of box magazines can be stellar. Would I want one for myself though? Yes, very much so. Would I pay $300 for this variant? Yeah, that seems about right, but would you do the same? Let me know in the comments down below, or let me know your experiences with the Classic Army M249s. Do you like this gun, or do you hate everything about it? Let me know down below, or go check out the links I've left in the description that should send you off to Airsoft GI to where you can get one of these for yourself. I hope you enjoyed this review over the Classic Army M249 Minimi. But I'd like to thank you all for watching, these past commenters for the support, the notification squad for always turning up early, and the first 300 people that like my videos every time they see them go up. All of you guys help my success, and you couldn't imagine how much you guys have helped me accomplish. Trust me, I have something very big planned for you guys for the future. But until the next video drops from the city of San Antonio, this has been Scott Hollenbeck, and I will be sure to see you all next time. Oh, of course the battery dies. And you hear that? Remember what I was saying, that the BBs get stuck in the body? Happens almost every time I take out a magazine. Again with more dead batteries.